that down.
Because your stage is one big wrestling
Yeah.
chamber.
The best way to start a talk is just to have everything fall apart right at the beginning. That way, got all that out of the way.
Get it all out of the way.
Well, hello all. Welcome. Yeah, as Harlan was saying, I think this might be my 6th or 7th presentation here at the bookstore. Most of these lectures have gone viral. I put them out on freemantv.com if you want to catch up on any thought I've ever had. It's all there. And yeah, so the last time I was here, we spoke on Obama cloning and becoming space war. And I blew a few minds with this talk. But you know what? I didn't honestly have all the evidence necessary to really say what I meant to say. Now I do.
All right.
The story has not stopped, as many of my stories do. They carry forward and continue to amaze even me. So let's open, because this talk is basically based on ET and the transhumanist agenda. And it's going to get into social programming, cloning, and some stuff that you're going to find just totally bizarre. But I wanted to open this with a little word from our former master, Bill Clinton.
There is much about cloning that we still do not know. But this much we do. Any discovery that touches upon human creation is not simply a matter of scientific inquiry. It is a matter of morality and spirituality as well. I believe we must respect this profound gift and resist the temptation to replicate ourselves.
Shortly after Dolly's birth was announced, President Clinton took steps towards banning human cloning experiments in the United States. The Bioethics Commission he established called upon Rabbi Dorff, along with several other members of the religious and scientific community, to address the ethics of human cloning.
The commission recommended that cloning be banned, at least temporarily, while further study is done as to exactly what it would involve and what the risks are.
8 years to
Other world leaders took similar action.
The reaction against the prospect of cloning humans has been worldwide. In his Sunday address, the Pope replied such experiments were dangerous. Today, Italy banned cloning experiments. So did Argentina. And the German government said there should be a worldwide ban on cloning.
I don't think government bans will indeed stop it. First of all, because you'd have to have an international ban on cloning in order to do that. And even if you had an international ban, there's no guarantee whatsoever that it won't happen in some lab somewhere.
Technology, once it's developed, does not go away. It may go underground if sufficiently persecuted.
Human cloning is not going away, and already we have many legislative bodies coming together discussing the human cloning problem. Now, of course, as they were saying, and there's a lot of reasons that human cloning could be a huge problem, in that we could start generating humans for certain jobs or certain work, and the whole idea of the need of life, you know, and the sanctity of human life. You're not supposed to be watching all this behind the camera here, but
Not seeing a thing.
all right. The sanctity of human life, it comes full board in question if we start talking about cloning humans, and then what's going to happen with those cloned humans. Are they citizens? Are they people? The methods of human cloning have been around since Dolly was created, and the first clone to be cloned was actually split by a baby hair. This is how the techniques came about. As they cloned frogs and other amphibians, they would use, the first doctor to do this actually used a baby hair off his baby's head and split the cell. But the curious thing about human cloning, or cloning in general, is that it requires an electrical shock to the cell to make it alive. So now we got this question, is it actually alive? What is that life force, that life spark that was given to this cell to make it grow? And as they said, many people are going on and continuing with human cloning behind the scenes, such as Dr. Zavos, who actually spoke before Congress about cloning humans with another strange character known as Ra-El. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ra-El, but he's been an object of my talks for a long time. This is a guy who claimed to meet Yahweh in a flying saucer. And he told him to begin these cloning techniques and a new embassy in Israel for the Elohim's return, which of course has a flying saucer-shaped swimming pool, I don't know. But the symbol that Ra-El wore to Congress and wants to put on this temple to the extraterrestrial gods in Israel is the Star of David interwoven with a swastika. And of course, this caused a lot of strife. But Dr. Zavos showed up with Ra-El to say that human cloning was not going to go away. And I wasn't going to show you this.
In the eerie blue light of his secret lab, one of the world's most controversial scientists shows off his creation, cloned human embryos that are genetic carbon copies of their father.
Oh, my babies are doing well. They look beautiful.
Filmed for a TV documentary, Dr. Panagiotis Zavos implants 11 of the embryos in 4 women, one of them British, in the hope of producing the first cloned human being.
Now, the reason he can get away with this is that he is working in Saudi Arabia, where the cloning is not, the legislation on cloning is not as stringent, and he can get away with cloning humans at this point. So, as I came before you before, we were talking about Obama cloning in the coming space war. I wonder how many of you were here? Just a few. Okay, so let's review. Now, I had brought this topic up in the hopes that it would gain some more national attention thanks to the fact that Barack Obama came out discussing human cloning. But no one seemed to notice. It is in my new film, E.T. and the Transhumanist Agenda. I do have Barack Obama's speech on human cloning and how he found it profoundly wrong and dangerous, as many should. But perhaps he might just be a clone himself. Now, as strange as this may seem to you, this is a singular Egyptian family. It is the family of Akhenaten. This is Akhenaten who turned Egypt on its head, took the capital of Egypt, put it in Thebes, took it from Thebes and moved it to his own capital in Amarna. Got rid of the many gods and brought the first monotheistic religion, named the worship of the Aten. And so he was known as the renegade pharaoh because he was then placed, he turned Egypt on its head. But now the Freemasonic orders, the secret societies, revere this man. They call him the first individual. They call him the first democrat. And it's because Akhenaten seemed to be a very real pharaoh, one that showed himself, depicted himself with his family, with everyone else, and brought about the most realistic artwork Egypt had ever known. But he was pretty much overshadowed by his mother, which was Queen T. And she had ruled since being 4 years old, actually, and through a couple of pharaohs, her husband, and then the child of Akhenaten, finally followed by King Tut. She basically had all the power. The pharaohs themselves were too young. Queen T ran the show. Akhenaten produced 2 children with Nefertiti, his wife. And the 2 children are actually identical to Malaya and Sasha. So I had put together the idea that it's quite possible, I keep trying to use the scroll button, it's quite possible that these people actually are clones of these ancient pharaohs. And unfortunately, I'm changing the list. Jumping back, going back. So let's go ahead and just let this. So now the Secret Service gave the Obamas code names. And these code names actually fit perfectly with Akhenaten and his family. Now, I want you to know that I did not manipulate this photograph at all. I took the Time cover magazine of Barack Obama and I put it with Akhenaten's bust. I took the bust of Queen T, and that's Michelle Obama's high school photo. I took a bust of Merita Ten, and that is Malaya. Now you'll see that each of the code names that they were given actually fit the whole story as well. Renegade, Renaissance, Radiance, and Rosebud are the names of the family. Now, first of all, if we're going to call our president Renegade, this is what it means. Someone who rebels and becomes an outlaw. A disloyal person who betrays and deserts his cause or religion or the political party or friends, etc. So this is the title they've given to Barack Obama in the Secret Service. Now, you might wonder, can they actually clone a mummy? And in 1984, sorry, my screen, I can't see. 1984, they came out, a New York Times article showing that intact genetic material was taken from a mummy and cloned. Now, this is not to say they rebuilt the mummy, or brought the mummy back to life. They cloned cells. But the important part of the story was that mummification, a process that we still know nothing about. Lenin, Stalin are rotting in their mummy wraps. We don't know how to mummy like the Egyptians did. And mummification saves a viable cell for human cloning. These guys can come back. And they have. So.
My ex-wife
So we have new ideas, new thoughts and theories as new TV shows come to play. I Cloned My Pet is the latest one, and I don't know if any of you have seen this, but now we're cloning animals, right? You're cloning your pets, bringing them back. Kind of getting this back into the stream of consciousness and allowing people to gather an idea of what human cloning could be. And now we're doing it first with pets, and of course it'll progress. It'll come forward and start to go towards humans more and more. But when I left the talk, in Obama cloning and the coming space war, I didn't have all the data I needed. I had announced that there was quite a good possibility that they actually cloned this mummy and brought him back. The Freemasons revere this man, like I was saying. Our leaders revere Akhenaten like no other. If you were to dig up The Secret Destiny of America by Manly P. Hall, who's a 33rd degree Freemason and one of their greatest speakers and authors, you'll find The Secret Destiny of America, Chapter 2, is Akhenaten, the man born 2,000 years too early, right? So when I left the last talk, I left with the idea that I think Barack Obama is a clone of Akhenaten. This man, Zahi Hawass. Now, he's been around since they found the tomb of Osiris. I don't know if you guys remember that. Back in the 90s, they found the tomb of Osiris. Now, Osiris is a lead god of the Egyptians, a god of death and resurrection. And this man's announcing that he found Osiris's tomb. Later, he was involved with the capping of the Great Pyramid with gold, which was canceled. But he was involved in the whole Y2K celebration, which I cover in my first film, The Freeman Perspective. But Zahi kept other secrets from us, secrets that I only recently found out. Well, secrets that they've only now released. Because Zahi had actually found, oh, that's the tomb of Osiris. I'm sorry I don't have these in the best way that I could, but just bear with me. Okay, so Zahi announced that he had the genetic material of King Tut. And there's always been this mystery about King Tut and who's his daddy. Because they were certain Akhenaten was King Tut's dad. But no one could prove it because Akhenaten's mummy had never been found. Or so we were led to believe.